Okay, this is the 12 Branches of Physics, Part 10, Coherence Restoration, How Systems Are Repaired. Let me make something very clear before we go any further. When people hear the word restoration, they tend to imagine reversal, going backward, undoing damage, returning to some imagined golden age. That is not how coherent systems repair themselves. No living system ever returns to a previous state. It either reorganizes at higher coherence level or it collapses. There is no rewind in physics. There is only recirculation. What I want to explain here is not hope, ideology, or optimism. I want to explain the mechanics of repair. How coherence actually returns to a system once it has been damaged, and why most modern interventions fail even when they are well intentioned. Why force-based repair always fails. The default strategy of modern civilization is force. When something breaks, we apply pressure. When instability appears, we regulate harder. When symptoms emerge, we suppress them. When complexity increases, we centralize control. This feels intuitive, it also feels responsible, and it fails every time. Why? Because force can only act on outer curvature. Force can move things, it cannot restore circulation. A broken toroidal system does not fail because it lacks energy. It fails because energy no longer returns. Applying force to a broken loop does one of two things. It temporarily masks failure, or it accelerates collapse. This is true in medicine, economics, education, governance, ecology, and personal health. Force can stabilize motion, only coherence can restore function. Repair is an inner flow problem, not an outer one. This is the core misunderstanding. Collapse always appears on the outside, but repair always begins on the inside. A civilization collapses visibly through economic stress, social instability, political conflict, infrastructure decay. But those are surface effects. The actual failure occurred earlier in the inner return flow. The inner return flow. Education stops circulating meaning. Healthcare stops circulating repair. Culture stops circulating truth. Community stops circulating trust. Ecology stops circulating renewal. You cannot fix outer layers by optimizing outer systems alone. That is like trying to heal a body by polishing the skin while the circulatory system is failing. The first law of coherence restoration. Here's the first non-negotiable rule. You cannot repair a system faster than its slowest return loop. Every system has a latency, a time delay between damage and correction. Healthy systems keep this delay short. Collapsed systems stretch it until repair becomes impossible. Examples: when feedback takes too long, damage accumulates. When truth arrives too late, trust decays. When healing is delayed, pathology locks in. When education lags reality, society fractures. Restoration does not begin with scale, it begins with latency reduction. Why small interventions outperform large ones. This is counterintuitive for people trained in industrial thinking. Large interventions feel powerful, massive programs, huge funding, broad reforms. But coherent repair is not proportional to size, it's proportional to placement. A small intervention placed at a circulatory node outperforms massive force applied at the structure. That is true in nervous systems, ecosystems, cities, organizations, civilizations. Restoration happens when the right loop is reconnected, the right interface is stabilized, the right feedback channel is reopened, not when pressure is increased. The difference between repair and optimization. Optimization improves performance inside broken systems. Repair restores the system itself. Modern civilization is obsessed with optimization. Faster, cheaper, more efficient. But optimization inside a broken toroid increases stress. It extracts more from a system that is already failing to return. Repair does the opposite. It slows throughput. It reduces extraction. It restores return flow. It rebuilds coherence before scaling output. This is why optimization often looks successful right before collapse. Coherence restoration is sequential, not simultaneous. You cannot fix everything at once. This is another critical point. Coherent systems repair in a strict order: reopen circulation, stabilize feedback, reduce latency, restore trust, then scale function. Skipping steps produces fragility. Trying to restore trust before restoring truth fails. Trying to scale before restoring feedback fails. Trying to grow before repairing return flow fails. This sequence is not moral, it's mechanical. Why meaning is a structural variable. This is where people get uncomfortable because they mistake meaning for belief. Meaning is not ideology. Meaning is not narrative. Meaning is not mythology. Meaning is the internal reference that allows coherence to persist. A system without meaning cannot self-correct, cannot sacrifice short-term gain, cannot sustain repair, cannot align behavior across scale. Meaning is the glue of circulation. When meaning collapses, systems replace it with control. Sound familiar? That replacement always accelerates failure. Restoration requires local ownership, not central authority. Another uncomfortable truth: coherence cannot be restored from the top down. Centralization delays feedback, it increases latency, it removes local correction capacity. Restoration requires local sensing, local responsibility, local repair authority. This does not mean chaos, it means distributed coherence. Central systems should support circulation, not replace it. When central authority becomes the repair mechanism, local coherence atrophies. That is terminal. Why extraction must be reversed, not regulated. Regulation slows extraction, it does not reverse it. A system that remains extractive cannot be made sustainable through rules alone. Extraction must be replaced by circulation. That means soil must regenerate, not be subsidized. People must recover, not be managed. Education must form coherence, not credentials. Healthcare must restore function, not dependency. Economies must circulate value, not siphon it. If extraction remains the governing logic, collapse simply slows, it does not stop. The role of awareness in restoration. This is where awareness becomes structurally relevant. Awareness does not repair systems directly. It does not fix anything. Awareness changes selection pressure. It biases decisions towards coherence rather than extraction. It shortens feedback loops. It reduces latency. It restores alignment. This is why restoration always begins with a shift in perception before a shift in policy, not belief orientation. What restoration feels like loss at first. This is the hardest part psychologically. Restoration initially feels like contradiction. Less growth, less speed, less consumption, less stimulation, less expansion. This is not failure, it's recirculation. Every healing system reduces output before increasing resilience. People misinterpret that pause as decline. It is not. It is the system catching its breath. The threshold point. There is a point in every collapsing system where restoration is no longer possible. This is not moral, it is mechanical. Once return flow stops being a critical threshold, the system can no longer rebuild coherence faster than it decays. This is why timing matters. Restoration delayed becomes revolution. Repair delayed becomes collapse. Coherence delayed becomes force. The earlier restoration begins, less dramatic it needs to be. What this means practically: this framework does not demand agreement, it demands orientation. If you want to know whether a system is restorable, ask 3 questions. Is circulation still possible? Can feedback still return? Is latency still reducible? If yes, repair is viable. If no, collapse is already underway. Civilizations do not need to be saved. They need to be recirculated. No hero, no ideology, no revolution. Just coherence restored to motion. Restoration is not about controlling the future. It's about removing resistance so intelligence can return to the system itself. When circulation is restored, systems heal themselves. Namaste. This is the 12 branches of physics, part 11, coherence, responsibility, and scale. Let me say this carefully because this is usually where frameworks collapse. Everything we've talked about up to this point, coherence, toroidal circulation, awareness, Christ field dynamics, system repair, none of it matters unless it scales responsibly. A framework that only works in theory is useless. A framework that only works at small scale is fragile. A framework that scales without ethics is catastrophic. So this monologue is not about what can be done. It's about what must be done and what must never be done once coherence becomes an operational variable. Why scale changes the rules. At small scale, coherence looks benign. You restore circulation in a body, you stabilize feedback in a nervous system, you reduce drift in a local system. Everything feels positive, but scale changes everything. When a coherence principle moves from an individual to an organization, to an institution, to a civilization, the consequences amplify nonlinearly. At civilization scale, coherence engineering is not a tool, it's a power. And power without constraint is how systems destroy themselves. Why force-based systems always collapse at scale. Force-based systems fail for a simple reason. They scale pressure faster than they can scale repair. Force works by overriding resistance, suppressing variance, and forcing outcomes. This is tolerable at small scale. At large scale, it becomes fatal. Because force increases load but does not increase coherence capacity. Eventually, the system breaks at its weakest return loop. This is not a political statement. This is not a moral statement. That is systems physics. Every collapsed empire in history followed this pattern. Extraction outpaced circulation. Enforcement replaced trust. Throughput replaced meaning. Control replaced coherence. Collapse was not accidental. It was mechanically guaranteed. Why coherence is more dangerous than force. This is the part most people don't expect. Coherence is more dangerous than force if misused. Because force is visible, coherence is invisible. Force announces itself, coherence quietly shapes outcomes. A force-based system tells you do this or else. A coherence-based system makes you want to do it. That distinction matters because once you understand coherence, you can shape behavior without command, align systems without coercion, and bias outcomes without resistance. That power must never be centralized, ever. The non-negotiable rule is that coherence cannot be owned. This is the single most important constraint in the entire Magnus framework, the document I just recently released, the framework of space-time. Coherence cannot be owned. It cannot be monopolized. It cannot be patented as a governing mechanism. It can only be accessed, restored, supported, protected. The moment coherence becomes proprietary control, the system inverts. An inversion always leads to collapse. This is why centralized utopias fail, technocratic solutions rot, benevolent control becomes tyranny, optimization becomes extraction. Not because people are evil, because geometry is unforgiving. The difference between guidance and control. This framework only works under one condition. It must be guidance-based, not control-based. Guidance restores circulation, improves feedback, increases autonomy, reduces dependency. Control narrows pathways, suppresses variance, centralizes decision-making, increases fragility. Coherence increases freedom, control reduces it. If a system becomes less free after optimization, it was never coherence-based to begin with. Why civilization is failing right now? Let's be honest about where we are. Modern civilization is not failing because of lack of intelligence, lack of technology, lack of resources. It's failing because inner return loops are broken, repair systems are hollowed out, meaning no longer circulates, trust no longer returns, responsibility has been externalized. Healthcare treats symptoms, education treats credentials. Economics treats metrics. Media treats attention. Politics treats power. None of them treat coherence. So the system compensates with more force, more rules, more speed, more extraction, more control, which accelerates collapse. It does the opposite. This is not pessimism, it is a diagnosis. The only path that works at scale. There is exactly one path that works, and it is slower than force, less dramatic than revolution, and less profitable than extraction, but it works. The path is restore inner circulation first, shorten feedback loops, increase local autonomy, distribute responsibility, protect meaning channels, reduce dependency structures. In other words, build systems that heal themselves. Anything else is a temporary theater. Why the Magnus refuses to be a movement? This is deliberate. The Magnus is not a movement. It is not an ideology. It is not a belief system. It is not a political program. Movements centralize identity. Ideologies freeze thought. Programs demand compliance. The Magnus is an architectural map. It shows where systems break, where repair must occur, what order cannot be skipped, and what cannot be forced. It does not tell you what to think. It shows you where thinking fails. That's a big difference. That distinction protects against misuse. Let's break this back down to scale at the individual level. At the individual level, coherence responsibility looks like regulating your own nervous system, restoring your own feedback loops, reducing internal fragmentation, aligning action with meaning, refusing to outsource responsibility. This is not self-help. This is systems hygiene. A fragmented individual cannot build coherent systems. They will recreate collapse wherever they go. Institutions must be judged by one metric only. Do they restore coherence or do they extract it? Not by profit, growth, scale, or reach, but by feedback health, repair capacity, trust circulation, autonomy support, and long-term stability. Any institution that requires increasing force to function is literally already failing. There is a line that must never be crossed. Never use coherence principles to manipulate populations, bypass consent, engineer belief, suppress dissonance, or manufacture compliance. That is not coherence, that is weaponized alignment, and it always collapses inward. The framework must remain transparent, opt-in, and decentralized. Anything else is inversion. Why this is not optional anymore? We are past the point where this is academic. The systems we rely on are brittle, over-optimized, under-repaired, feedback blind. The next phase of civilization will be one of two things, either coherence-aware, circulatory, regenerative, and distributed, or extractive, force-dependent, brittle, and short-lived. There is no third option. Here's a quiet truth that ends this. Coherence does not need belief. It does not need consensus. It does not need permission. It works whether people acknowledge it or not. The only question is whether it is restored intentionally or it reasserts itself through collapse. That choice is still open for now. This framework does not promise salvation. It offers orientation. And orientation is the difference between steering a system and being crushed by it. Hope you enjoyed this. Part 11. We'll move into part 12 in the next one. Hope you have a great day. Namaste.